So looking at the sheet music at the top of the page, in the middle you've got the song title, which is Grunk Funk. And then to the left of that, just beneath it, it says funk there, which is the song genre or the song style, if you couldn't guess that already from the song title. And then beside that, it says a quarter note equals 82, so that's the tempo of the piece. So there'll be a quarter note pulse you'll be feeling as you play this, and there's going to be 82 quarter notes every minute. To the left of that, we've got the letter A in a box, so that's just a section box, so just letting you know we've got a section at the start, section A. So in the first bar of music, you see we've got a percussion clef there, letting you know it's drum notation on the stave, and beside that we've got the time signature of the piece, which is 4/4. So 4 at the top tells you there's 4 beats in the bar, and the 4 at the bottom tells you each one of those beats is a quarter note. So in the first bar, we've got a rhythm, we've got eighth notes on the 1, quarter note on the 2, quarter notes on the 3 and the 4. So the rhythm for that bar is 1 and 2, 3, 4. And we're playing that rhythm, first 2 eighth notes on the first beat are on the bass drum, then we got the snare drum on 2, hi-hat on 3, hi-hat on 4. Okay, so we'll put those together now to play the first bar rhythm. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you've got a linear groove, so we've just got one note playing at a time. Okay, so we've got bass on its own for the 1 and snare on its own on the 2, hi-hat on its own for the 3, hi-hat on its own for the 4. Okay, so that's been written as 2 separate rhythms. So you can see the bottom rhythm, we've got eighth notes, quarter note, and then we've got a half note rest for 3 and 4. So when you're resting on that second rhythm, we're playing the hi-hats for 3 and 4. Okay, so that's why that half note rest is there. Beneath the bar, we've got an MP, which is short for mezzo piano, which means half soft. So you're going to play this lower than your normal playing level. So remember, your normal playing level is MF, so it's going to come one dynamic level beneath that. So let's try bar 1, 4 times through. We'll loop it at the song tempo, so 82 beats per minute, just to get a hold of that linear groove. And then in the second bar, we've got the same groove, but we're just lifting the dynamic to MF. So that's short for mezzo forte, which means half loud. So like I said before, that's about your normal playing level. So you're going to play same groove, just bring it up to MF. And then in the third bar, again, we've got the same groove, but we're bringing up the dynamic level again, this time to F. So remember, F is short for forte, which means loud. Okay, so you've got 3 bars of the same groove. In the first bar, you're at mezzo piano, half soft. Second bar, mezzo forte, half loud, and then in the third bar you're at forte, which is loud. Okay, so you're just going to increase the dynamic level in each bar. So let's try those 3 bars now. So we're playing the groove 3 times, just changing those dynamics. And then in bar 4, we've got a rhythm of eighth notes. So we count those 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we're just going around the kit. So 2 notes on each drum. So we're going to start with the snare drum. So right, left on the snare drum for 1 and, 2 and on the high tom, right, left again. So we're just going to play single strokes for this whole fill. Right, left on the mid tom for 3 and, right, left on the floor tom for 4 and. Okay, so around the kit we got this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so nice, smooth single strokes, evenly spaced eighth notes around the kit. So we'll try that in time on the metronome again at the song tempo, 82 beats per minute. And we'll try it 4 times through, just getting that fluency of going around the kit. And like I said, just making sure those notes are all in the right places. So now we'll put the whole line together, so 3 bars of that linear groove, just making sure you're changing dynamic in each bar, and then we're going to stay at forte for that final bar, that fill. Okay, so obviously we've gone to forte for the third bar, we haven't got any dynamic changes, so we stay at forte. Okay, so let's try the whole line, mezzo piano for the first bar, mezzo forte for the second bar, and forte for bars 3 and 4. Okay, so let's try line 1. So now we come into line 2. So the first bar of line 2 is bar number 5. So you can see the bar number there, just to let you know it's bar 5. So we've got a very similar groove. So again, it's linear. We've just got one note playing at a time. We've got eighth notes on the bass drum again for 1 and. We've got the snare drum for a quarter note on 2 again. And this time we've got a quarter note rest on 3 and we've got a quarter note on the floor tom with the right hand on 4. Okay, so that rhythm there, the bottom rhythm on the stave is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's obviously twice through the bar. So you've got 1 and 2, rest, 4. 1 and 2, rest, 4. And then we've got a quarter note on the 3 in the top rhythm. Okay, so where you rest in that bottom rhythm we just played, you're going to fill that rest with a quarter note on the other rhythm. Okay, so there's 2 rhythms. So you're resting on that rhythm we just played, and then we're going to play a quarter note on 3 for the top rhythm. Okay, so collectively you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the bar there. So you right hand on the hi-hat for the 3, then it comes across to the floor tom for the 4. Okay, so let's give that bar a try 4 times through, just to get a hold of it. And looking beneath the bar, we've got the dynamic again, MP, short for mezzo piano, half soft. And then in the next bar of line 2, so bar 6, we've got the same rhythm. All that's happening is we're changing that final drum, that quarter note on 4, from the floor tom to the mid tom. It's just going to play on the mid tom now, so it's going to go a bit higher in pitch. Okay, so let's try that bar now 4 times through, just changing that final note. And beneath the bar you can see we've got MF, short for mezzo forte, so we've got to play this bar half loud. So let's try bar 6 now, the second bar of line 2, 4 times through. And then in the third bar of line 2, which is bar 7, again you've got the same rhythm, we're just changing that final drum, the quarter note on 4, and it was on the mid tom in the second bar of line 2, now we're going to play it on the high tom. Okay, so the small tom here, so it's just coming across. So the right hand's just moving from the floor tom to the mid tom to the high tom for those 3 bars. The rest of the groove is staying the same. Alright, so we're going to try bar 7 when we're playing that 4 on the high tom. And you can see beneath the bar we've got an F now, short for forte, which means loud. So let's try this bar, hitting that high tom on the 4, so bar 7, and also playing it a forte. So bars 5, 6 and 7 are the same rhythm, pretty much the same groove, we're just changing that tom at the end of each bar, okay? So like I said, we're going around the drums from the lowest pitch, so the floor tom, up to the mid tom, then across to the small tom. Alright, so let's try bars 5, 6 and 7, and make sure, as well as that tom change on the 4, we've also got the dynamic changes. So first bar at mezzo piano, half soft, second bar at mezzo forte, half loud, third bar at forte, which is loud. And then in the last bar of line 2, which is bar 8 of the piece, we've got another fill. So the rhythm for this fill is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we've got eighth notes on the 1, 2 and 3, and then a quarter note on the 4. And it's a linear fill. So again, we're just playing one limb at a time, one note at a time. So you're going to start on the high tom with the right hand. So we've got right kick, then we'll come across to the mid tom, right kick, then we'll go down to the floor tom, right kick, and then a quarter note with the left hand on snare. Okay, so your right hand's moving around the kit from the high pitch to the low pitch tom. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so let's try just that bar 4 times through, just to get used to that, and we're still at forte for this bar, so we want to play it loud. And now we'll try the whole of line 2. So you've got 3 bars of the same groove, we're just changing that final drum on the 4. Starts on the floor tom, then we come across the mid tom, then we play high tom, and then we've got that linear fill in the 4th bar of line 2. So let's try the whole of line 2 now, and remember we've got those dynamic changes in each bar as well. So that brings us to the end of section A. So section A is that first and second line. So we're going to put those 2 lines together now to play the whole of section A. Okay, so you've got a linear groove in line 1 for 3 bars, just changing up those dynamics in each bar. Then we've got the fill at the end of a line, which brings us into line 2. We've got a slightly different groove now in line 2. And remember, we've got those changes at the end of each bar in the groove in line 2, and then we finish with that linear fill. Okay, so you've got 3 bars groove fill, 3 bars groove fill. Okay, that's the structure. So let's try lines 1 and 2 now in time with the metronome at the song tempo, which is 82 beats per minute. So now we come on to line 3, so you can see at the start of line 3 we've got number 9 there beside the first bar of line 3, just letting you know it's bar 9 of the piece. You can see we've got the letter B in a box, remember that tells you it's a section, so we're on section B. So we've got a groove in the first bar of section B, we've got the top rhythm on the cymbal of 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we've got a quarter note, eighth notes, quarter note. First quarter note's on the crash, then we've got a quarter note on the hi-hat, eighth notes on the hi-hat, and then another quarter note on the hi-hat. So we'll try the cymbal rhythm first. Okay, and then the rhythm beneath that, the second rhythm in the bar, is the bass and snare, and we just got quarter notes. So we've got quarter note on 1 on the bass drum, quarter note on snare for the 2, quarter note on 3 on the bass drum, and a quarter note on the 4 on the snare drum. Okay, so just alternating quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we just need to put the 2 rhythms together for the bar. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you see that hi-hat rhythm gives it that funky sound. We haven't got that continuous subdivision on the cymbal. Okay, so normally with a groove, like quite commonly with a groove, we have that same subdivision. So rather driving those quarter notes or those eighth notes on the hi-hat. So for this one, we just got combinations. We got quarter note, eighth notes, quarter note. So we're changing up the hi-hat rhythm, which gives it that funky sound. Okay, so we're going to try 4 times through that first bar of section B. And beneath the bar, you can see we've got the bar dynamic, which is MF, short for mezzo forte, half loud, about your normal playing level. And also, just be aware of that accent. So you can see we've got an accent above the crash note, just that you know there needs to be more emphasis on that note. So we need to hit it with a bit more force. Okay, so a nice loud crash to start section B. Let's try the first bar of section B, bar 9 of the piece, 4 times through. And after that bar, we move on to bar 10. Now in bar 10, we're playing a very similar groove to which we just played in bar 9, but there's a slight variation, and that is on the 4th beat. So on the downbeat of 4, instead of that quarter note on the snare drum, which plays the usual backbeat note, we're going to play it on the bass drum. Okay, so we've got a quarter note on the bass drum on the 4th beat in that groove. So bar 10 sounds like this. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's a real element of funk there. So when we're changing up the backbeat, playing unexpected notes, so everyone's expecting that backbeat sound on the 4, and then we just play that bass drum, okay, to really break up the sound. Alright, so we're getting all these elements of funk. So we had that linear fill in bar 8 that leads into the groove in bar 9. And then we've got this variation of the groove in bar 10, where we're just changing up that backbeat sound by playing a bass drum on that 4th beat. Okay, so make sure you play that variation in bar 10, and then we move on to bar 11, where we've got the same groove that we played in bar 9, but we haven't got the crash that's accentuating the start of the groove. Okay, so we're just playing that same groove, hi-hat on the 1 this time. So if we come to the final bar of that first line of section B, we've got a fill, so we've got 16th notes on the 1, 8th notes on the 2, 8th notes on the 3, and a quarter note on the 4. So the rhythm of that bar is 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4. We've got 16th notes on the snare for the first beat, so you got, that's 1 E and a. Then we got 2 and on the high tom, 3 and on the bass drum, and then 4 on the crash and snare in unison. Okay, and again you've got that accent above the crash note. So more emphasis on this note. Play it with more force. Okay, so that rhythm for the whole bar, 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so let's give that bar a try. So remember we're at MF still for this bar, mezzo forte, half loud, but your normal playing level. So we'll give that bar a try, just to get that fluency of the feel, and we'll loop it around 4 times. So now we'll try that whole line. So the first line of section B, which is the 3rd line of the piece. So we've got that funky groove where we're changing up that hi-hat rhythm. We crash in at mezzo forte, it's an accented crash, and then we play the groove for 3 bars, only accenting on the 1 of the first bar of those 3 bars of groove, and then we've got that fill at the end of the line. Okay, again we're finishing with that accent. So let's try the whole of the first line of section B, the line 3 of the piece. And now we come into the final line of the piece. You can see by the first bar of the final line, we've got number 13 there, letting you know it's bar 13 of the piece. So in this bar, we've got a very similar groove to which we played in the previous line. We've got the same cymbal rhythm, so we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4, but we're changing up the cymbal to play it on the ride cymbal. So that rhythm will be over here, so we'll try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're playing that with the right hand, and then the bass and snare rhythm this time is a quarter note on the bass drum on 1, quarter note on the snare drum on 2, 8th notes on the bass drum for 3, and then a quarter note on the snare drum for 4. So we'll try that second rhythm in the bar. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see playing those together, those 2 rhythms, that means on the 3rd beat we've got 8th notes on the ride cymbal and also 8th notes on the bass drum. So they're both going to be playing 8th notes together there. Okay, so we'll try bar 13 now 4 times through. And then in the next bar, so bar 14, the 2nd bar of the final line, we've got quarter notes on the ride cymbal for the first rhythm, and then we've also got quarter notes in the second rhythm, so we're playing a quarter note on 1 on the bass drum, and then quarter note on the snare for 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we've got ride cymbal and bass drum on the 1 in unison, ride cymbal and snare on the 2, 3, and 4. So we need to make sure we're hitting those right in unison. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's try that bar 4 times through. And then in the third bar of the final line, we're playing the same thing we played in the first bar of the final line. So that ride cymbal rhythm, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we come into the final bar of the piece. You can see it's the final bar because we've got that final bar line there. So we've got a fill in this bar. So the rhythm of the fill, we've got 8th notes on the 1 and the 2. So you got 1 and 2 and quarter note on 3. So we just got 3 and a quarter note on the 4. So we've got 4. So the whole rhythm of the bar is 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So the 8th notes on the 1 and 2, we're playing single strokes. So they're broken single strokes on different parts of the kit. So we've got a snare on the 1, high tom on the end of 1, mid tom on the 2, floor tom on the end of 2. So you're going around the kit here. 1 on each drum as single strokes. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so obviously make sure you're turning to move around that kit nicely. And then we've got a 3 on the bass drum for a quarter note. And then we've got a crash and snare together on the 4. Okay, and we've got an accent above that crash. We need to hit it with some emphasis. Okay, so we got the whole bar. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. And beneath the bar, you can see we've got a crescendo, so we need to get louder through that bar. And then we've got an FF beneath the last note, which is short for fortissimo, which means very loud. Okay, so we were at mezzo forte at the start of section B. There's been no other dynamic change, so we've stayed at mezzo forte for this whole section. And then in that last bar, you need to gradually get louder to very loud. Okay, so we're going up 2 dynamic levels. We're going from mezzo forte through forte to fortissimo. Okay, so we need to get quite louder through that bar. So let's try the final bar with the crescendo 4 times through. So now we'll try the whole of the final line of the piece, so bars 13, 14, 15 and 16. So remember we've got that groove in the first bar, then we've got a slight change up on the groove, so we're playing quarter notes in the second bar, we're back to the groove for the third bar, and then we finish with that fill. Single strokes, then we kick, snare with that accent, so snare and crash together. Okay, remember we've got that crescendo in the final bar, finishing at fortissimo. Okay, so let's try the whole of the last line. And now we'll try the whole of section B, so lines 3 and 4 of the piece. So we've got that groove in the first line on the hi-hat, changing up that hi-hat rhythm. So we've got quarter notes on 1 and 2, 8th notes on 3, quarter note on 4. We finish the line with a fill, finishing with a crash and snare together as an accent on the 4th beat. Brings us down into the bottom line of the piece. We're changing up to play on the ride cymbal, and we finish with that crescendo fill, single strokes, kick, crash and snare together as an accent. So let's try the whole of section B. So now we'll try to put the whole piece together, so section A and section B. So in section A, you've got those linear grooves, which is going to help really build up your independence, being able to play one limb at a time. We finish line 1 with a single stroke fill around the kit, make sure it's nice and evenly spaced. Brings us into line 2 where we're still playing a linear groove. We're just changing it up slightly, adding those toms at the end of the bar, and then we finish with a linear fill around the kit again. Okay, so remember you've got those dynamic changes in the bar as well, so make sure you're putting those in. We've got mezzo piano at the start of each line, and in the next bar of each line we've got mezzo forte, and then forte for the third and fourth bar of those 2 lines in section A. So you've got that linear drumming and also those dynamic changes, and then when you come into section B, we're playing a groove that isn't linear now. So we're playing limbs together, but we're still changing up the cymbal rhythm, which gives it that funky sound. And in the fills in section B, you're finishing the fills on the 4th beat, so that back beat on the crash. Okay, you've got crash and snare together on that accent. Okay, so you get like an early finish. Normally fills take us into the 1 of the next bar, but in funk we tend to hit that crash to finish the fill on the 4th beat. Okay, it's a good funk effect. So make sure you're feeling that in the fills and you're finishing with that crescendo into fortissimo. Okay, so let's try to put the whole piece together, section A and section B, all 4 lines. So as this is a group B piece, it means it's not played with a backing track. Okay, so it's a drum solo, so it's just you playing this piece. So the tempo of 82 beats per minute, which is the piece tempo, is the tempo you need to practice it at. Okay, so make sure you know what tempo to play this piece at, but when you play it in the exam, if you choose to, you're not going to play it with a metronome. Okay, so you need to make sure you're playing it at around the piece tempo. So you want to play it at around 82 beats per minute. So you want to make sure you're practicing it at this tempo so you know roughly how fast to play it in the exam. Okay, so let's try it now without the metronome so you can hear how it sounds without that click.